Member from Niagara West Glanbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In absence of the Premier, to the Minister of Finance.
I just remind the honourable member we don't make references to the attendance of members.
Speaker, as you'll recall, the Premier wanted the Finance Committee to hold pre-budget consultations for the first time in memory before Christmas. Particularly at a time of growing economic crisis, a government that completed its pre-budget hearings more than 2 months ago should be ready with a budget and a plan today. The federal government unveiled its budget almost a month ago. You would think the Ontario government would follow suit. Instead, Premier McGuinty seems absolutely paralyzed by indecision. Why did you jam the pre-budget consultations in the week before Christmas if you had no intention to act now?
The member voted against having traveling pre-budget consultations, Mr. Speaker.
He voted against it.
And they've now laid out 4 plans in 5 months with respect to the economy. Mr. Speaker, we have conducted hundreds of sessions around the province, myself and our members. We have met with business leaders, labour leaders. We have met with a variety of sources both inside Ontario and outside of Ontario. The member's right. The federal government did have a federal budget. Absolutely. That was after a rather dismal false statement, I might add. I don't think I'd want to do what happened up there. Speaker, we laid out a false statement that updated, invested more in infrastructure. $10 billion. Mr. Speaker, we will lay out a budget in the last 2 weeks of March that builds on those initiatives, recognizing the enormous challenge in the global economy today. Ontario will not only deal with the short term, will deal with long-term competitiveness in a way that member and his party aren't prepared to do, Mr. Speaker.
So the minister says, Speaker, that they've talked to everybody and his brother, I guess as long as they don't stand anywhere near 5 feet of the Premier. I say to the minister, it is time for action. It's awfully difficult for working families and businesses to know where the Premier is coming from these days. They worry about paying their mortgage, they worry about keeping their job, and they see no leadership in the Premier's office. One day he sounds like the ghost of Bob Rae, musing about a return to Rae days. The next he talks about cutting taxes and rolling back red tape to spur job creation, just like John Tory and the PC caucus have been calling on for some time. And then he sounds like a new age guru talking about something called the creative economy that he happened to read about the night before. Minister, at this time of economic crisis, Ontario needs a strong leader in the Premier's office. Enough of his musings. It's time for action. Will your government call an early budget to finally spur job creation in the province of Ontario?
Mr. Speaker, the people of Ontario put a strong leader into the Premier's office in October of 2007. They rejected a blind right-wing ideology that would sacrifice the public interest to the private interest and instead accepted a Premier and a government that has a plan and has laid out a plan over the last year that builds on infrastructure, builds on tax relief in targeted ways to help stimulate our economy through what all acknowledge is the most challenging global crisis we have seen in generations. Speaker, there are no easy or glib answers like the member opposite would have you believe. Mr. Speaker, these are tough, difficult times. We have laid out a plan that has seen us this far. There is more to do, and there's nobody better suited to lead this province than Dalton McGuinty and his government as we go through these difficult and challenging times.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. I mean, quite frankly, Minister, give me a break. You say there are no easy answers. Your Premier has no answers whatsoever. I believe, quite frankly, that the Premier has no clue whatsoever in what to do about the growing economic crisis in this province. I hope at the very least that Dalton McGuinty finally understands that the same kind of outdated tax and spend policies that got us into this mess sure the heck aren't going to get us out of this mess. But listen, Minister, on January 30th, you said no to our harmonized sales tax, and just 7 days later, the Premier wants to give it a good, hard look. You wonder who's running the ship, and 70,000 well-paying jobs have been lost in the meantime. Minister, and to your Premier, let's end this policy paralysis and act before more jobs are lost. Bring forward that budget and bring it forward immediately.
Minister.
We'll do it in the House too, by the way.
Mr. Speaker, we will bring the budget forward in the last 2 weeks of March, and unlike the member opposite, we'll bring it forward right here in the legislature. And unlike the member and his party opposite, it'll give a complete and true picture of the province's accounts. Mr. Speaker, these are difficult, enormously challenging times for every economy in the world. We saw the G7 meeting this weekend. We saw the enormous difficulties there. The plan we laid out last year, which invested $7 billion in the ground in infrastructure this year, that member voted against. The $1.5 billion in tax cuts that have flowed already out of $3 million approved, that member and his party voted against. He voted against having traveling public hearings on finance. We didn't, sir. There's more to do. We'll lay out a budget towards the end of March that deals, yet again, continues to build on the program.
New question.